Good morning. It's the 9th of July, 2025. Now, yesterday, I had a strange phone call. A man, a very authoritative voice, said, "You just rang my phone. What did you want?" And I said, "I haven't rang anybody." He said, "Well, your number came up on my phone." And I said, "Oh, must have been a mistake. I must have misdialed." With that, he hung up. But when I checked my phone's log, I hadn't rang anybody. So very suspicious, or maybe was someone having a joke? I've no idea. Now then, I'll carry on my normal way of a song that's important to me and should be important to everybody. Now, I've never been a rap fan. Up until a couple of years ago, I heard a guy called Ren and his mind-blowing song, "Hey Ren." And I'll leave a link in comments because it is so good and deals with mental illness and the victims that have to cope with it. And he's a young man with incredible insight into how the world works and how it really is in the shadow recesses of society. And rap today is the only genre of music that is left that still has protesters, as recently displayed at Glastonbury. You may not agree with that, was said, but should certainly agree with the principle behind it of free speech. And the BBC, the legacy media, and the uptight do-gooders went absolutely apeshit and got the groups banned. But of course, all that does is to make people want to listen more. And the government will not accept or allow any criticism of a certain regime. And I'll remind everyone of what Gary Lineker alluded to when he tweeted, "Anyone who ignores what is going on in Palestine is complicit." And he was sacked for that tweet after 26 years. Now, I certainly understand the fear in people. When I first worked in London in the early 60s as a telephone engineer, we were on loan to another part of North London, and which was Golders Green, which was and still is a Jewish community. And it was considered part of our job when tracing faults to request admission into the house to check the phone. And no one ever answered, and I could never understand that. And the guy I was working with was considerably older than me. I was young, he was coming up for retirement. And he said, "No," he said, what you have to remember, Ken, is it's barely 16 years since the end of World War II. And people, especially Jewish people, are still very frightened of a knock on the door. And the fear still runs deeply, even in a safe country as England was then. However, times change and so do regimes. One regime bullying another is just an eye for an eye. And eventually it will make the whole world blind. But having said that, I'm sure many can see what is going on behind the facade of censorship. And censorship from all sides. And makes any observer confused and befuddled. So please like and subscribe. Thanks for listening. To get more observations from a very confused soul, thank you for listening. Bye-bye.